This afternoon, or I'm sorry, this morning at about 1:15 a.m., the Guam Police Department received a call for a disturbance at the Hemlani's apartment in Harmon. As a result of that call, two of my officers from the Harmon Precinct Command responded. When they arrived at the apartment complex, they came across an unknown number of individuals. There was a disturbance at the scene, and the two officers worked to quell the situation. In doing so, one of the officers was attacked by an unknown number of individuals that were at the Hemlani Apartments. The officers did their best to quell that situation. They did call for backup. Officers from the Dedro Precinct Command, as well as the rest of the officers from Tumuning and Hagania, and then even as far south as Agate Precinct, responded up there to assist. At the end of the situation, one minor was taken into custody as a result of that. The individual was taken to Tumuning Precinct. A preliminary investigation was conducted. As we fast forward, the investigation was passed off to the Criminal Investigations Division as well as the Special Operations Division within the Guam Police Department. That investigation is ongoing as we speak. At this point in time, we have 4 minors that have been taken into custody as well as 1 adult. Again, the investigation is still ongoing. Again, as the evidence reveals itself, that will determine the officers to take the investigation in a certain direction. However, what we're looking at so far is that there's a potential for charges that include assault on a police officer, disorderly conduct, public intoxication, minors in consumption of alcohol, aggravated assault, jurisdiction over adults, and possession and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. So as we look at this, we are looking at those potential charges for those individuals who are responsible for, number one, the disturbance that occurred, and as well as the disturbance or the assault that happened on the police officer. Now, it's important to understand that not only is the Guam Police Department looking at this from an investigative standpoint, and not only are we looking at this from a public safety or law enforcement standpoint, but we see this more so also being a social issue, a social standpoint that we need to take. So as such, we're working with the different government entities to address the issue and the questions and the concerns and the dynamics that exists at the Hemlani Apartments to understand really what is going on there and get to the root of the problem so that we can deal with it from a social standpoint. We're working with the mayor's office as well as the other stakeholders in and around the Hemlani apartment area because we realize that they have concerns as well. So across the board, across the spectrum, we are looking at that from that standpoint as well. We think that it's not enough just to address the issue that happened this morning, otherwise we're going to continue to go back there. We need to address this from a standpoint that takes it to another level, to a social level, and really address what are the issues and questions and concerns there. And I will tell you that the Guam Police Department maintains a very high level of professionalism, and as such, the actions of the officers this morning, they were very professional. Their actions this morning is indicative of, number one, the amount of professionalism that they have, as well as the level of training that they've received, not to escalate the situation, but to de-escalate the situation and quell the situation so that that nobody gets injured any further. So to that point, I'm very proud of the officers that responded this morning. I'm very proud of the Guam Police Department for their actions. And I will tell you that in addition to that, we will deal with this very professionally. We will deal with this very aggressively, but at the same time, we will deal with it very compassionately because we see that there's a dynamic that's going on there that we must be able to address. There are concerns that need to be dealt with so that we can deal with this at a bigger level to really get to the root of the problem that exists at the Hemlani Apartments. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
How many officers responded this morning?
Well, right off the bat, there were 2 officers initially, and then as I'm finding out here, there were up to about 10 police officers that ended up responding all together from Dedro Precinct Command, the rest from Tumuning Precinct, those who are available to respond up from Agania and Agate Precinct Command.
Are Are there suspects still at large at this point?
Well, the investigation that we're conducting right now, we're trying to see if there are any other suspects. We're not sure if there are. Again, we're conducting a lot of interviews. We're canvassing the community. So I don't know definitively at this point if there are other suspects. That will be dependent on the investigation. Now, I will tell you that to that point, I am appealing to the community. I am asking for the community's help. If anybody has any information or anything leading to the incident that happened this morning at 1:15, to please contact the Guam Police Department. You can reach out to the Crime Stoppers hotline or call the Guam Police Department. Call my office at 475-8508 for any and all information you may have.
I'm sorry, can you specify what you meant by dynamics of the Hemlani's?
Well, we believe that there may be social issues that exist there, and those are things that we're all taking a look at. When we say dynamics, we're talking about the situation that exists there from a holistic point of view. What exactly is happening at the Hemlani Apartments? We believe that there's a certain dynamic that goes on. What it is exactly at this point, I think that's something that needs to be discussed a little bit further. I don't know exactly what they are, but we do know that something exists because of the fact that we have been receiving a number of calls there. So we think that it's enough for us to address this at a different level, and not just police officers responding, to calls that happen there.
Do you have a general idea of how many times you've responded to that specific apartment complex, in terms of, because that's a recurring problem, right? Is that part of the dynamic you're talking about?
It appears to be that way, yes. Now, I would tell you, I don't have any definitive numbers as to how many times we've responded there, but it's enough to make us, it's enough for us to stop and realize that there is something that we need to address there. So we are going to take a look at that, and we're going to look at the stats to figure out how many times we responded there, the frequency of the calls, the types of calls, what exactly we need to bring to the table to be able to address this. The other officer was dealing with one of the other individuals that was involved in the altercation. So when the officer did realize that the officer who was assaulted was being assaulted, that's when he went over there to assist that officer and pull him out of harm's way, quell the situation, and then call for additional officers to respond to assist in dealing with the situation.
I think the police media WhatsApp said 10 individuals.
Again, I cannot say definitively. I will tell you that's something that we're still investigating. I don't want to say it's 10 and it's not. I will tell you that there were a number of individuals, and again, until the investigation is complete, or at least near complete, will I be able to give you a definitive number as to how many people assaulted the police officer.
Can you describe the injuries that he sustained in the attack?
He did receive a contusion. He did receive some scrapes and some bruises. He did receive some lacerations to his face and his head area. All of his injuries were treated. For the injuries he sustained, he was treated at GMH. He was released, and at this point in time, the officer is doing okay. He's obviously recovering from the minor injuries, but he's doing okay.
Did he lose consciousness in the attack?
As we see it right now, there is a possibility. But again, we're still conducting the interviews that he may have lost consciousness temporarily. But again, he reverts back to the training that he underwent, as well as the training that the other officer underwent to be able to pull them out of that situation and treat or deal with the situation accordingly.
So these dynamics at Hemlani, do you see them in other places?
Well, that's something that we're taking a look at. At this point in time, I don't want to say one way or another whether the same type of dynamics exist there, but I will tell you that it's something that we're taking a look at, and I think it's something that we could possibly address across the entire community. So I will tell you that I don't see it per se in any other particular case, but we're going to look at it from a holistic standpoint, from a holistic point of view, that this is something that we need to address with the entire community, and not just isolate it to the Hemlani Apartments, but we think that maybe this is something we can take a look at from a community standpoint, a one island or one Guam standpoint, if you will.
Are you working with other agencies on it?
We are.
Can you name some of those agencies?
What we're taking a look at, obviously, the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, the Department of Public Health and Social Services, some other entities across the board, the Mayor's Council, because the village mayors get actively involved in the residents within the respective villages. So across the board, we're taking a look at that. If there's other entities that we feel need to get involved, we'll get those entities involved as well. So I will tell you that this definitely has the attention of the Guam Police Department, as well as the other communities as well. So I will not tell you that we're going to provide a bigger presence, but we're going to look at the entire community and make sure that the entire community is safe. And that's what really we're considering is the bigger picture involved here.
At this point, do we know if this incident is related to the past two other incidences? The stabbing and the bomb threat?
Well, there was a bomb threat that was called into the Hemlani Apartments, and there was a stabbing that did occur a few days ago. Again, because the incident is still under investigation, I cannot tell you definitively that any of those incidences are even related to each other. These all may be separate and apart from each other, but that's something we're taking a look at as the investigation on all three of those incidences are still under investigation.
Well, that's